WCLN 1170 Radio and Star Vision Cable Channel 16 are pleased to present We Should Know, hosted by J.W. Simmons, an upbeat, informative look at people, places, and issues facing our community. This education-based analysis of issues will remain positive and informative as we consider closely what we should know.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The name of the show is We Should Know. We're on the air, WCLN Radio, Audible, and we're simulcast with Star Vision TV, Star Vision Cable Channel 16. If you're tuning us in today, go ahead now, call a friend, tell them to tune in. This is the show you want to listen to during the holidays. Everybody's running around looking what they're going to buy, what's going to be a good gift. We've got literally the Santa Claus of Clinton, North Carolina. It's Gary Wayne Hall of Sessoms Jewelry. Gary Wayne, how you like that introduction? I just put Santa Claus on you.
I can't hardly believe that.
Yeah, I kind of put Santa Claus on you, man.
You hurt me a little bit there for a minute. I certainly said when you said so and so, and I was saying, Lord, in this world where we're going. But I appreciate the compliment.
Absolutely. Thank you for being on the show. And Sessoms Jewelry has been around for a long time. You have been around for a long time doing a lot of specialty stuff with jewelry, and you're trained in that area. I mean, you've got degrees in looking at jewelry, what it is, the quality of it. Your expertise is in that. How many years have you been doing this, Gary Wayne?
I've been doing it for 40 years, but Sessoms Jewelry, we're celebrating 50 years in business this coming year, 13 and 14. 2013 and 14, but in 1963 and 64, Mr. and Miss Sessoms decided to go in business. He taught himself literally out of the attic of his house. He got started. He was always one of these that wanted to put things back together, and you know, it was one of these little. It was just exciting to him to be able to sit down and put an old clock back together that someone else maybe had messed up or part of the family. So he fixed him a little workshop up in the attic of his house on Don Street, and that's where he got started into the watching jewelry business. And there he self-read and learned how to do this and went through other people on watch and clock repair, but mostly he did it all on his own. Miss Sessoms was doing the hair bit, fixing hair in Clinton, and their daughter was going to school at Clinton, whom I married, Deborah.
And when you and Deborah connected, is that when you got into the jewelry business and interested in the jewelry business?
Deborah and I got married in '72, and I was a salesman to start out with. My dad had a little country store in Archerville, and I kind of working with the public got a taste for retail, and so from that I sold cars in Roseboro, and then after Deborah and I got married, the business had already gone to the point that Mr. Sessoms needed someone else to come in with him, and he invited me into the business. And at that time, there was a school in Goldsboro. The school is still there. They just don't have the watch repair department, which is Goldsboro or Wayne Community College. And I drove back and forth there for 2 years and came back and worked at the store and worked on my trade until I got my degree. And I did finalize my degree at Sampson Community College. I had a math, a single, I think it was Math 101 that you had to have or something like that, and I came back to Sampson Community College. So they were part of it, and that's one of the reasons we've always been part of the community, is to give back to those who give to us. So Mr. Sessoms was very good about that. He was retired from the Sampson County Rescue Squad, and he was one of the first ones. He was, he and Hamp Britt and George Honders, those are some of the names I remember, were charter members of the Sampson County Rescue Squad. And that's when they had to use their own station wagons, and when they ran out of gas, they'd have a little fund drive or something like that to raise the money to go out and rescue these people that were either in a wreck or had a heart attack or needed something to come here. So we've always been very involved as far as the community goes.
You continue to do that, and Sessoms Jewelry, certainly I would suggest or guess that they're probably the oldest jewelry store anywhere in the region around. I don't know of any other jewelry.
Well, Baggett's is older than we are. They've got the years, but we operate with Bill and them, and we kind of bounce off each other as far as trying to do good for the community. So Baggett's is a good one now at the shopping center, but we've got a few more perks than maybe what they have right now as far as the repair business, and the fact that I did go through his watchmaking school. He's been to several schools, and I've been to several schools. I don't know whether to say he's got more, I got more, but right. I just feel like if I were going to shop, I'd shop with Sessoms Jewelry.
Absolutely. Right downtown Clinton, right across from the courthouse.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's look at this whole process of jewelry and what happens at Christmas. I think you just kind of explained why a person ought to look locally and buy locally first when you think about jewelry, especially jewelry, because a huge portion of it is trust. The average person can look at something that shines, they can look at the bling, it may get their attention, but how do we really know what's there? And part of that is the trust you have in a jewelry store and somebody that's been there for years in the community and you know is going to be part of the community.
Well, our children are here and we were raised here, so we have family and friends. We go to church, we support, we use the hospital. We try and do everything we can locally because these people to do that is like Janet Bass said with the chamber the other day, that 75% of every dollar that is spent locally turns around and comes back through you, through taxes, through payroll, through everything else. So if you're living here, if you're working here, the obvious thing of it is you want to try and spend as much as you can to give you the things back for your community that you like to have. Obviously, if 75 cents out of every dollar stays here, if you were to put that down and the millions of dollars that would go somewhere else, that maybe you would have taken the time to go to the local grocery store or go to the furniture store or come to Sessoms Jewelry to buy something, it would come back to you, and the things that the taxes that we pay back to them were able to make obviously we have trouble with the playgrounds and with the athletic department and the money that we want to have to support that. Just by spending a few more dollars locally every year would help that, where the county may not have to sit there or the city school system have to go there and say, well, we need this, that, or the other. If you support and you do locally, it'll help come back to you.
And you don't have to worry about fighting the big malls and the big crowds in Fayetteville, Raleigh, and all these other places.
Don't come to my store on the week before Christmas, because you're going to be fighting a crowd.
Might be back out in the street again.
Well, you're right about that. And then you got to consider when you go to Fayetteville or Raleigh or any of the larger towns, you're dealing with someone maybe you don't know, and it's a long walk sometimes from that front door of that place to your car, and there's a lot of horror stories that are told. Absolutely. We have to, we try and supply security downtown. I have John Bassett comes in, usually 10 days or whatever, how many days we need him before Christmas, and he'll be more than glad to walk people to the car, and while you're in there, you got a feeling of comfort. Plus, our city does a great job on supplying security downtown when you come to us. And you got to say also, Jimmy Thornton and the Sheriff's Department, they do their job to help supply, and they do oversee, because this time we get really busy, and they go over and make sure that the shopping centers are looked after and that we try and provide a level of security. It's not hard to go to either at Walmart or Jordan or one of the larger shopping centers and be approached by someone that you've maybe never have seen before and want to try and sell you some counterfeit goods, or either hoodoo you out of your money. And while they're spotting what you're doing, there may be someone looking at you that would see that car left unattended and know that it's yours, and you just put those gifts in them. That's one of the things that we emphasize is be sure and secure your items. You put them in the trunk, or either you wait as you're leaving where you're going, go straight to the car and then leave. Don't put them in there in plain sight and then go off. You saw the other day, I'm sure, on one of the television shows that showed in the afternoon, what they call sliders are going around now. That's where a lady or a man may pull into a restaurant or either to, say, get gas, one of the easiest things to do, and you're thinking everything's fine. While you're pumping the gas on the back side, someone may come around to the side of the car, see if that door's unlocked, and if you're over there on the other side, the door's unlocked, they just reach in and make a quick attempt to leave with your things. So you got to be real sharp, because it's like in any business or in anything, someone's always trying to figure some way to get your stuff without paying you anything or whatever. And they don't care if it's your little 2-year-old's Christmas present and that's the only thing you got for them, that don't bother them a bit.
Very brazen activities going on now. Gary Wayne, one of the things that is clearly important to everybody is keeping up with time, and the time we have to do something. Sometimes you look at your wristwatch and you think, I've had this wristwatch for 4 or 5 years. One of the big items this year, it appears, is going to be watches. Not only do you work on watches, you carry an excellent line of watches. If we talk about watches for a few minutes, what do you think people need to be concerned about when they look at a watch? Is that a good Christmas gift, and is it something that people can carry on and have maybe an heirloom with?
One of the things that I do, JW, when someone comes in, I usually try and look at them and see basically what type of work they do. Or a lady is she going to be this for strictly dress, or is she going to be wearing it in the yard doing yard work or garden or whatever they do? So one of the things I just do is kind of figure out how tough that person's going to be on that watch, or they just want it for style and do this. If they're wearing it just for style, that watch is going to be good for them for 3 to 5 years. Also, the styles of watches change. You can come in here and there's a line now called Michael Kors that's very popular with the ladies. That watch is $295 or better. I got a watch here that's by Caravel that retails for around $145. That gives you the very same look as what that Michael Kors is at $295. A lot of times you buy a name. I sell name because of their past, but that's a beautiful watch for a lady. It's a little larger watch because the larger watches are more in style right now, and that is the look. But I try and sell the name of Seiko. It's been here since Vietnam Wars. That was one of the watches that was most popular. A lot of the GIs, when they were over there in the 60s, that was one of their little deals they had to come back home on. They'd buy a Seiko for $35 to $50. They'd bring it back, and I still work on some of them that they had back then. The guys have been real sentimental about them, and they bring them to me so I can work on them. But Seiko has a reputation of being a good, solid watch that's going to last you. Also, with the styling for the ladies, they have a solar-powered watch that they have out now. That's a small, round version, and that's run by sunlight. You can take them in and set it in the windowsill, and the sunlight will charge that up, and after it gets a full charge, it'll run for 6 months without having to put it back in the sunlight. If that were so to be desired, you could put it back in the box. But that's one of the round styles, and this is a two-tone stainless steel version of the Seiko that you can take and get, and it's a thin line, looks real good, and that watch should last a lady on average wear 6 to 7 years. If the capacitor goes out in it, we change that at the store, and that's something going to be done pretty easy for you.
We're going to take a break, come back and continue to talk about these watches. We've got several I want you to cover. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching We Should Know. Taking a break, we're going to be talking to Gary Wayne Hall in just a few minutes. Stay with us, call a friend. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're talking with Gary Wayne Hall with Sessoms Jewelry. We're talking about the different kinds of items that you can find at Sessoms Jewelry and the jewelry store right here in Clinton that you need to go to if you're thinking about a Christmas gift, or maybe you're just thinking about a gift for yourself. You need to check this out. We're talking, as we went off the air, Gary Wayne, we were talking about watches. You were talking about solar watches for ladies, solar watches for men. And one of the important things I think you mentioned was how you're going to use that watch. Is it going to be used, and are you an outdoor person? Are you going to wear it, if it's a man, are you going to wear it hunting or fishing, or even a lady that does that kind of thing? What is that watch going to be used for? Why is that so important? Is it the durability of the watch or the makeup of it? Tell us why.
All those things are involved in it. The durability, the makeup of it, the style that you want to get. Are you going to wear it on the farm and the church? Or are you going to do just the church or whatever? A lot of the things going on now with obviously the cell phone. Everyone has it, and that's a source of time. But I've always been one that I don't do like that to look at the time. I'm going to hold my arm up, and most of us have got used to doing that. But I wear a leather strap on my watch because I just like the different look every once in a while. You can have the same base, but then you could put a black leather band on it or a brown leather band. So you got the versatility there to go from one thing to the other without a major expense. One of the things I would do, a lot of our boys that come in the store, we're close enough to the beach that we're going to need something water resistant. A lot of people used to say waterproof, but they said that's not the right thing to say now. So we say water resistant. But I got a watch here that is by Seiko, and it's automatic divers, and it's for 200 meters. That's 600 feet. Are you going to go 600 feet down? So that one's guaranteed to be waterproof to 600 feet.
So if you're a surfer or a person at the beach, you're in and out of the water, that's the kind of watch you need to have.
That's exactly what you want right there. This comes with the black rubber diver's band on it. And also this watch has a yellow face, kind of a style, not for any other reason other than style. Has an oscillating, or the bezel moves, so when you go down you can time yourself as to how far you've been underwater, and then you go by that. It's adjusted to where it has a screw down crown on the outside of it. Also, this is an automatic one. This watch, by movement of your arm from side to side, or however how you do it, In a day's time, the watch will run for 36 hours after you take it off. So that's the old standard automatic one that Seiko made back then. This is a stainless steel case, which is good for a tobacco farmer, diver, anyone who wants to do. A lot of people just like a larger watch, so that would fit right into them.
Durability, and that particular watch, about how much are we looking at there?
This watch would sell in the neighborhood on sale for about $250. The retail on it is $425. So with the 40% discount that I'm running right now, you can get that watch for around $260.
A lot of watch.
A lot of watch, and it's a good stylish watch. Now we go back over to the other thing we would emphasize. This is the watch that do the same thing as far as durability and that, but it's another one of the solar powered watches. This one has a capacitor in it. The sunlight comes into the dial, and as it goes into the dial, it has a capacitor that maintains the charge off of it. Now once this one is fully charged, it's just like the ladies' watch. You can come back to this watch in 6 months, and it's still going to have the right time on it. The day and date may be off on it because you got 30 days in it and 31 days, and then 28 or 29 days, depending on what it is. That could throw the date off, but then you can instantly set it by pulling out the crown and then put a Chanel in, and you can set it without messing up the AM and PM. But solar power is the hottest thing out there now. Citizens calls it Eco Drive, but that's the same thing that's coming out and has a capacitor. Now, you would say, what would be the advantage of having the Eco Drive or the solar power over an automatic? An automatic just runs off the movement. It's going to come back to you. But the only thing you have to do is like service on that about every 5 years. It's probably going to cost you $60 to $75 to service the watch. Whereas this one, it's going to cost you probably $50 for a capacitor to go in it. So the capacitor's not forever. They do say it's Eco Drive or whatever, but usually about every 5 years you would have to have another capacitor put back in it. Power cells, which this watch runs, this watch is a kinetic, I'll explain it, but a power cell is a single cell that lasts 2 to 3 years, and we charge $10 for one of those. So the money difference is not that much if you consider a capacitor is $50 for 5 years and a cell is $10 for 2 years. There's not that much money difference. Now this is a big trip right here. This one is one of the more technology-wise, this one you can come back to it in 6 months and the battery may be run down in it or the capacitor's run down in it, and you can pick it up and you shake it from side to side. It's what we call kinetic, and it's got a little auto adjust date in there that'll pick up for the year, day and date in it, and it'll automatically set itself back to the correct time, day and date. So that one there, the capacitor in it is about 10 years. So overall, that one would be the technology. If you got someone that's a computer guru and comes in, as well as most of these first graders are, they'd all want a watch like that. But that's a stainless steel case by Seiko also. The watches now, today's market, and as competitive they are, they're all pretty much basically priced in the same category. Bulliver's going to have the same run, but it ends up most of the time, it's 80% of it is a style, to 20% is what my thoughts are when someone comes in the store and says, well, Gary Wayne, which one of these watches do you think I need? I just let them pick out a watch they like to look at because they're going to be looking at it 7/24, 365, so the style goes right into it.
When you look at style and you look at fashion statements and that kind of thing, I heard you say it seems that the face of the watches are getting bigger. Is that for both men and women?
Men are also, and the ladies, they like the bigger styles. I got a lady who was in the store yesterday that looked at a Rolex that a man's got, and she considered $8,000 to pay for that. And she's got a Rolex already. She just said, I want me a bigger look. So I said, I'm here for you. So she wanted.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because you're kind of getting into pricing a little bit and thinking about the word Rolex. I think most everybody's heard of Rolex. They've probably heard of the name Seiko. Definitely they've heard of Bulliver because that's been around for years and years. The pricing index on Rolex, and I know you sell those, is what is the value added there? What kind of...
The longevity of it is if you can take it and maintain it. Again, I'm not a Rolex dealer. I can get them for you through dealers, but Rolex don't come to my store and do that. They'll get you. They hurt you bad on the copyright if you tell them that you do and you don't.
Right.
So I can work on them for them, and I'm not. All this through Rolex is just that I have availability to them through other dealers. If an individual
But you've
comes
seen
to
the
me,
inside of a
said,
Rolex compared to Seiko.
Well,
Is there something magic in there going on, or what?
Each Rolex basically is a year. They hand do it, they hand time them, they bring them down. Start to finish on most Rolex watches is figured to be a year on each one of them. Rolex is limited to how many they sell. They're also limited as to whom they sell to. The individuals with Rolex come in are very reputable, as well as we are. I have talked to them, but they want someone who's in the 200 to 300,000 population before they're going to consider you. And they have a reason for doing that. They obviously don't want to turn the watches over. We're only 55,000 as far as the county goes. I'm 250,000 people away from them even talking as far as us go. They were kind enough to stop by the store, but when they come in and say, well, we like your store, we like the way y'all do business, but you just don't have enough population for us to go. That's being said, with the availability of them, basic starting price on them is around $2,400, and you go from there to the point that whenever you send them to be serviced, if it's a $2,400 watch, most of the time you look anywhere from $800 to $1,500 for just a regular service, and they suggest every 5 to 10 years that you have a service. So if you're willing to pay $24 for a watch and then pay $8 to $15 every 5 years to get it serviced, then that could be the watch for you. They do maintain their value, but it takes a long time for you to get your money back. When you say maintain your value, it's like buying a car. If you go out and pay $10,000 for a car, you drive it off the lot, it's worth $7,500. Same way with the Rolex. If you go out there and you pay $15,000 for it, when you take it out, it may be worth $12,000. So for you to rebound and get you $3,000 back out of it, it could take several years to do that.
Where are these watches made? Where's Rolex made?
Rolex is made in Switzerland. Most of their watches are done, and they do all theirs in Switzerland. One of the things, the Chinese and the Japanese, these are Japanese made, but one of the things they do to kind of help you out a little bit along the way is they may make the movements in Japan and they case them up in the United States. So that way they get a chance to kind of bounce back. Those are made in Japan. Bullovas are Swiss-made movements that are cased in New York, and Citizens are all Japanese made. They do all theirs in Japan. Tag Heuers is a real popular name. That's a kind of a little bit lesser value of a watch than the Rolex, but they're made in Switzerland also. So most of your high dollar ones that maintain that are Swiss-made watches.
Do you see a lot of folks coming in this time of the year to buy watches for Christmas presents, for spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, that kind of thing? Is that picking up, or is it pretty much flatline?
We do well basically 4 times out of the year. We do graduation, and one of the things we emphasize is engraving the watch, and then you can put their name on there, and then you can put the date on it. Also Mother's Day, Father's Day, and Christmas we do real well. Now Friday and Saturday is going to be a bang-up day because that's Black Friday and Saturday that most people are looking forward to. And one of the things we do as far as that goes is most of the time I run them anywhere from 30 to 40% off. Black Friday and Saturday, they'll all be half price for those 2 days.
And we talked about buying local. If we look at these kind of name brands, nobody's going to go anywhere else and be able to beat your price on those kind of name brands in these malls and shopping centers and that kind of thing.
Well, they may be able to, but I'm in here to stay in business, so I've got to make a profit, or either you want to get them back off a service off of it. So there's all the things you look at. One of the things that you can do, if someone is advertising a Seiko on the internet or a Bulova or whatever, the least they're going to be able to discount it is 40%. If they get from a established corporate part of Bulova or Seiko or Citizens, 40% is all they allow the internet people to discount them. That way, the locals and the other business people have a chance to stay. Because then they can go right on down and sell them below cost and do all the other things they do.
So we're going to take another break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about some other kinds of jewelry that you sell down there. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching We Should Know. We're talking with Gary Wayne Hall, Sessoms Jewelry, about Christmas gift, holiday spirit, right here in Clinton, downtown Clinton. Sessoms Jewelry will be back in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. The name of the show is We Should Know. We thank you for listening. We thank you for sending your emails to us at weshouldknowedu@gmail.com. That's We Should Know edu@gmail.com. A lot of comments on our show last week, and we thank Jana Bass, the Executive Director of Chamber of Commerce, and Enrique Huello for being with us, talking about things with the Chamber, what's going on in the business world. We're talking about the Hispanic Latino community right here in the area that is a big business supplier for us, and a lot of folks that purchase items from that community. Had a lot of comments. We appreciate your comments. Keep sending us those emails. Gary Wayne Hall Sessions Jewelry here. We're talking about Christmas in downtown Clinton, Christmas in eastern North Carolina, watches, a lot of other stuff. And when you think about things that glitter, folks a lot of times think about gold. And I don't know if anybody knows more about gold than you do, because you buy it. You in turn sell things that's made of gold. Tell us how the gold market looks right now. And is it up, down? I know we've seen it go anywhere from $1,500 to $1,700 an ounce, and maybe even higher.
I felt like that was probably going to be one of the questions you would ask me. So I checked the gold market before I left, and it's down to $1,240.
Wow.
Last time you and I talked, it was right at $1,800.
Absolutely.
But it's down to $1,240 right now. And what that does is, if you want to make a purchase on something, it's about 30 to 40% less than it was whenever we talked to about $1,800. So, and anyone that is interested in selling anything, if they bought it at $1,800, they go, like we were talking about the watch dropping in price. That's You're not going to regroup anything out of it. And that's the market. You know, someone says, "What's it going to do?" I said, "I wish I knew. If I did, I'd probably be back when it was $1,800. I'd been buying it and selling it and turning around." But that's just, you don't know. That's the world economy.
Right.
Says that, and if anyone says that it's bad, they want to. The stock market's going up, so gold is going to stay. If gold takes, or stock market takes a plunge, then gold usually goes up.
So if you are looking to buy a gold chain, a gold necklace, a gold bracelet, anything 14 karat plus gold or what have you, now's a good time to do it, to buy. So it's a buyer's market.
It is a buyer's market, and it's the way that I always have done. When it was at 1,800, I just told the girls, I said, if they want it that badly, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and we'll let them special order it. I'm not going to stock merchandise at that age. So I was fortunate enough, knock wood, that when it was that high, I was not buying to go in the store as far as inventory goes. I was buying as far as people come in and want scrap value. I was more than glad to pay them an $1,800, but as far as inventory, no. So I feel like anyone that comes to us, and if they want to buy, it's been a market that I had that was bought basically around $1,300 to $1,400. And the good thing of it is, the way they were taking it and designing it, you got a bigger look out of the gold as it was. It's just like whenever you go to the grocery store. It's not a 16-ounce package anymore, it's a 12-ounce package. It's because they've gone up larger, they've gone up so much, and they think, well, I'm not paying any more than what it was. So, because it's the same thing, but you got to look at, you always got to look at your package. Always make sure that you're getting what your money's worth is.
What's the hottest item in your store now that you're selling that it's gold, and what is it? Is it 12 karat, 14 karat gold, 18 karat?
It's 14 karat right now, and the largest thing I sell at the time are pendant chains, which are for diamond necklaces and pearls and so on as that. The bigger $3,800 to $5,000 chains, they're not doing all that well. I have them in the store, and I'll be more than glad to sell them, but mostly my clientele comes in, they're looking for a repair type piece of jewelry that they can take that chain that's wore out, that they've been wearing their diamond pendant on, or their bracelet that they've been wearing their charms on. They want something to go back in they can use on it. That would make all the difference in the world as far as what to use. Silver is one of our big markets right now. Silver's come a long way since they started rhodium finishing it. The silver used to be, if you didn't wear it, it tarnished or turned black, whatever. Now you've got it where it's got the rhodium finish and it retains its beauty. It's still nice and bright and shiny after you wear it, and you can put it in your jewelry chest and take it out 6 months, and it's still got shine to it rather than being where you got to get the polishing cloth out and do it. Diamond earrings, they're always hot this time of year. Everyone's always wanting. That's one of the greatest things that the spouse or the friend can get their friend is a pair of diamond earrings, because basically when you get that, you don't have to worry about them going back and wanting to get another pair of earrings. They're going to wear those diamonds regardless. Pearl earrings are good. Pearl necklaces are. We've always done, as far as the pearl necklace, cultured pearls. Now they got freshwater pearls. Cultured pearls could be $2,000. The same look in a cultured and a freshwater pearl, $200 with the 14 karat gold class. Again, it's the individual said, I'm gonna get her some cultured pearls and I'm gonna pay $2,000 for it. Or here's the other one that's got basically the same look, is gonna be the freshwater pearls.
So when we look at some of these items, we think about necklaces, bracelets, jewelry items, the bling. Is there one particular thing that you see as kind of a fad movement for 2013, the holiday season?
The beads that were last year, I hate to call out a name, we call them reflection beads. They're the little bracelets that come in and people would add certain things to them as far as
There's several brand
different
names.
colors. Yeah, but ours are reflection, and we have those in the store. And also there's a couture that comes in, and we have those. So we got two different selections of those. They have little a silver ring that you can take and you can change the inside of it. Just with a little key, you push that out and you can have a different look. They're less than $100. And the added beads that we're talking about with reflections, they're around $37. This is my prediction, and this is why I'm doing it.
Okay.
I think it's a fad, as well as you just said, and the fads go out, and I told the girls to take all those down and discount them 40% from now to Christmas and Friday and Saturday. All my beads like that are going to be half price. So again, I think it's a fad that's seen its market, and it's kind of playing itself out. So now's the time to go ahead and get rid of them and move on to something else.
Speaking of fads, I know you've seen this, and I remember some years ago we saw things called toe rings. We saw things called thumb rings. Does those kinds of things circulate every so many years, and how do they reflect on your business?
Sold 2 toe rings last week, as a matter of fact. And
So they're still out there?
Oh yeah, you usually do those in the summertime or the springtime. Excuse me, when it's time to go out and they want to get their tan right and go ahead and do it. But the thumb rings are mostly in 14 karat or 10 karat gold, and the toe rings that I've been selling are silver. Silver's a little softer, more pliable. They can put them on and adjust it to their toes. The gold's a little bit harder, and it's not as easily adjusted to the toe size as the other ones are. But thumb rings are pretty neat, yeah.
So does the market vary on that? I mean, does it go like 5 years and you might sell 15 or 20 a year, and then it increases or decreases? I mean, what drives the market on that?
About the same thing, same way. One of the reasons the thumb rings do well is she may have got the old ex-husband's wedding band back.
Oh, okay.
Or either it's her ring, and what you can do is I can size that, and then I have a crimper that I bend it. So I can take their old piece of jewelry and make them something usable. So it's kind of a recycling type, like I do on a lot of the estate jewelry that I do. People come in and they want to sell it, and I look at it and I judge it as to whether or not it's a good resellable piece, if it can be refinished. We tell them that, and then I've got my section that's known as the estate section, or previously owned, and we sell that. And it's a much better price than what I can buy it brand new and resell it. So we try and offer people the right thing. So that piece of jewelry that on that wedding band could be a $300 wedding band, and for $25, you got you a $600 thumb ring. So
Depends what the application is at the time.
Yeah.
And I want to ask this question too, and I know, of course, it's a family show. I don't want to get into too bizarre, but you know, there's been all kinds of jewelry used in everything from body piercing to nose piercing, all kinds of bizarre things done with jewelry. What is one that you can tell me about right now on the air? What is one of the most bizarre things you've sold a piece of jewelry to be used for that you can share on a family show?
I don't, you know, one of the things I sit back and look at, some people walk in the store, and I don't judge people by their body piercings or whatever, because it could be some of the greatest people in the whole world.
Absolutely.
I've seen some things come in before that I just kind of imagine that it's not what I think it is, and then I could go ahead and go from there. But I've not had anyone to come in and tell me anything about anything other than what I can see with my face.
And a lot of that is in the piercing and in the ears. You'll see sometimes folks with diamond piercings, 5 or 6 in a row in their ear, and those kinds of things.
And again, it's a fad. It's one of these things go on. I just look at some man, I reckon, raised in a conservative atmosphere I've been raised in. I said, what are you going to do with that in 30 years when you look and you got this piece of skin that's hanging down from when you done that? But I'm sure they think about that before they do it. So they've got an idea, but I don't do body piercings. The only thing I pierce is ears, and I have done a few noses, but the rest of it, the way the state signs it up, if you got to be licensed to do other than, and if you go, these young people or the older people, whoever want to have their tongues done and their eyes done and all this other stuff, if they don't do just right on that, they could hit a bad nerve and then they have a squinch or a flick or whatever. So I would advise anyone that goes out that wants to have body piercings done, go to a reputable place. Don't go in and you and your friend decide I'm going to do one or the other, and then you can mess your body up for life with what you do.
And I think there is a certain fad going on with that, and you'll see, for example, sometimes tattoos and that body paintings and this kind of thing go on for a while, and then it drops off and it picks back up. And sometimes that runs concurrent with jewelry items and metal work, should we say, as part of the body.
Well, the jewelry designs going now that we had are basically the earrings, the diamond rings, the engagement rings, things that are steady. I'll take a chance and go out on a limb every once in a while and bring something in like the beads, but again, I see that the market's fading out on those, so I'm gonna go ahead and get away from that. And then this year, there's not anything hot at all. I mean, it's just the basic designs. Nobody's out there pumping anything on the television for a different design. But I can tell you that probably next year, something's gonna be out there that's gonna set the world on fire, because they just kind of laid low this year as far as their designs go on things. But
it will be the hot item, and you'll know that up front, though.
Oh, so absolutely. Absolutely. It'll start coming around, and we'll know in 2 months what to look for next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take another break. We'll be back in a moment with Gary Wayne Hall. Stay with us. Call a friend. Tell them to tune in. Last segment coming up. We'll talk about some items you might need for Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We Should Know's on the air. Last segment coming up. I want to give a shout out to all those folks at the radio station. Robert Stroud with the Boogie Shoes Radio Network on Saturday afternoons. Very busy man this time of the year, doing all kinds of shows and DJ things around the county. I also want to give a shout out to Don that does the country store. Don's been doing this for quite some years. In fact, the last time I think I talked with Don about how many years, over 50 years he's got in radio. And the country store is a very popular show. Comes on just prior to our show on Tuesdays, 2:30 to 3:30. We're also aired on 7 p.m. on StarVision Cable Channel 16 and StarVision TV as well. So we encourage you to take a look at that. You can also DVR us if you missed the show. We're also on the radio, so we want you to make sure you turn the radio on if you're traveling down the road. Be uploaded to YouTube sometime 4 or 5 days after the show's air on Tuesday, 2:30 to 3:30. We're talking about jewelry today. We're talking with Gary Wayne Hall. Gary Wayne, your name is synonymous with jewelry. Anything to do with that word, if it has bling, if it's diamonds, if it's pearls, whatever it may be, you're associated with it. And people's been depending on you for quite a few years, and we talked about that in the beginning. One of the things that's kind of fascinating with me is this whole area, and I want to touch on this before I miss the chance to touch on it, is this estate jewelry stuff. And you alluded to it a bit a while ago, but you do a pretty big business in that. How do you come about estate jewelry? Does people come in and say, I've got this nice unusual watch or ring or something, and negotiate with you on a price, or is there a place you go and you buy estate jewelry? And what is estate jewelry?
All of the things that you just mentioned can be there. We let people know, basically, estate jewelry is previously owned. Mm-hmm. You can phrase it ever how you want to, but it's been something. You go back to, I would say estate would be something pre-1930, if you want to get down and say that. But what we have are, again, people that come in that want to sell their gold chains or a pretty diamond necklace they had, or something that a loved one gave them, and then they have another loved one who doesn't want to see what they got on. So, and previous marriages and relationships, they just said, well, this is something in the past, and I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. And they bring it to me, and if it's an item that I feel like is previously owned that has value to it more than scrap value, then we'll tell them that, and we'll sit down and talk about it. And I'll give the customer the option. If I see it's I've been in the business too long and seen too many pretty things destroyed that could have been saved and done something. And I'd just rather tell someone I don't have an interest in it, except for the estate part of it or the previously owned part of it. That way they'll get more money, and I'll feel better about buying it from them, such as that. Diamond rings, we let people know it's all over here, it's a previously owned. And if they want to, say, go to a different style than that, they've got the diamonds. Took 5 billion years to process a diamond, and I think if someone had worn it for 2 weeks, don't mean that they've taken the value away from it. So it's just because it's been pre-owned. I don't totally, but it is much cheaper than brand new out of what I buy from New York, so they can save a lot of money off of it that way.
Well, when you look at estate stuff, if somebody goes there and they look at something, it's a diamond, it's a ring or something, you can actually take that diamond and put it in another set for them if they wanted to do that, especially if it's a good price.
Absolutely, and I have a group of diamonds that I do take out of other rings that people have brought in for the sale of the gold value and the diamonds, and I put them in a bag, and then we sell those to wholesalers that take them and they reset them. So
when we look at that and we think about diamonds, we talk about, and I know you've been on this show and talked about before, the cut, clarity, and carat weight and that kind of thing. And there's probably another word that I'm missing, but that's the dynamic that you look at and you can say this qualifies for X amount of dollars and is worth X amount of dollars.
You weigh it, you take it out, you judge it on weight and everything else that goes along with it, and then you give them a price on it. Cut, clarity, carat weight, and color.
Color. That was the one I was missing.
So you got that, and just because it's cut don't mean that it's round, princess, or oval or square. It's what we call ideal proportions. So that goes into the part of the diamond as far as the roundness of it, whether what we call the pavilion, which is the lower part of it, or the table, upper part, and then you got the girdle, which is the further extremes on them, whether it's thin or whatever. There's a lot of different variables that play into that depending on the price of it. It's just not those 4 C's, it's what's involved in those 4 C's that gets you that. So if you get all of them that's right and everything just right, it can be an awful lot of money. But then they get them down to the ones that are really bad, they use those for cutting diamonds, so they use commercial grade. So there's a lot of diamonds out there, and it's just depending on how they want to use them or market them. And China's into it now. We used to be, the United States years ago, back in the early 1900s, whenever the De Beers just started going into this business, it was one of the things that they did was they would see how many people were getting married in the United States would be dependent upon how many diamonds they manufactured or how many they cut. So we've been kind of the rule of thumb. Now you got Japan into it, now you got China into it, all the other markets are playing into it, Saudi Arabia, all of them that's got money, the diamond part of it's been in. I don't know, I'm not that much into religion to know if all of them do, but some of the religions don't like to see women wearing nice, pretty, bright things. So if they ever change their mind, then it'll probably jack it up another 5 to 10%. So,
well, for the holiday season, is it still safe to say that diamonds are a girl's best friend?
Diamonds are a girl's best friend. They cherish them. It's just one of the things that is for me to be in as long as I have, to see a lady just overwhelmed by the beauty of a diamond and what it does, big, small, whatever. If you want to have a lady's attention, give her a Sessoms jewelry box with that diamond ring in it, or necklace, or earrings, and if it's a down day, she'll be up pretty good for the rest of the time of that day.
And if a person walks in off the street, if they're just not sure, and it's maybe they've waited 2 weeks out before Christmas, and I'm sure you get a lot of that, and they walk in off the street and they say, "Look, I'm just frustrated. I've been here, there, everywhere, and I need to do something." You can help that person and get them kind of geared to maybe an idea, something they hadn't thought about before. I mean, we've talked about estate stuff, we've talked about pearls, we've talked about diamonds, but your store is literally just chock full of ideas that maybe they hadn't thought about.
We are real proud of our inventory, and that's the reason we have the inventory we do. We like for someone to come in, walk around and look, and then they sit there and look and said, "I've been to Raleigh and Durham, Fayetteville, all these other places, and you've got more items in here than they have in the other stores." And we are real proud of our inventory, and that gives that person that don't know exactly what they want to the idea to come in and look around and see and spot that item. It's just like the watches. We have watches from $50 to $2,000 in the store. We have diamond rings from $150 on up in that, and so the pearls, different qualities, different styles. Everything we have in there we try and use as a source to keep people coming back. I'd love to take that inventory and take a nice trip off of it.
Right.
But then we like to have it in there to show our pride in the community that someone comes in from out of town and they come down to Sessoms Jewelry because you recommended them, or they heard Robert Stroud recommend them, or someone on WCLN said Sessoms Jewelry, Sessoms Jewelry. That's the reason we pay for our advertising. It's for people to keep doing that. And we get a lot of support from the community. And that's the reason we try and keep the inventory we do and the stock of merchandise we do to show pride in our community.
And one of the things I was talking about the community too, I know that you do a lot of school class rings and those kinds of things.
We've been very proud of that, and I have a couple of schools this year that's come on board, and they're tickled to death with me. I got Midway and Union, and also Sampson Early College, and I've got Clinton High School. So I got 4 to 6, and maybe after the other ones get a chance to listen to the other 4, talk about how supportive we are of the school system. Maybe that we get in. It ain't all about the price, but we're cheaper than the other ones, but we like to do it, and appreciate you bringing that up. We are very supportive of the local schools, and that's another thing. We give back to those who give to us.
And it's really convenient too, because folks can go right downtown to your shop and they can look at a class ring. They don't have to have one particular day that somebody comes and shows them class rings. I know that's the way it used to be a long time ago. They come and you have one day, you had to look and to pick out whatever class ring you wanted, and that was it. They can actually come to your shop, and they got a convenience of you being there, and you will be there, and you have been there for, like I said, over 40 years, so you're not going anywhere.
We are there, and I don't like, that's another reason I've kind of been after the schools come in. We've never used pressure techniques. We're there, we do what we can, and they come in the store and say, come back, or come to the school and say, be back in 3 days. We're coming in, and you got to get your class ring then, because we won't be back, and they won't be back for Christmas. That's not a way to run a business. You run a business by doing what the customer needs to do, and you don't do it. Customer don't need to work around me, because I work around the customer. His time, his satisfaction, what his budget is. You're not in there to sell over what you feel like they want to have. And I've never been one to ask a customer, how much are you going to spend? I've always liked to kind of work them into how much they're going to spend. And if someone asks you how much you're going to spend, they want to go ahead and get your money and get you out of the store. So I want you to have a product when you walk out of the store that you've been pleased with. We've worked together to get that market for you, and then you'll feel much better about it.
Well, I think one of the things too, when we look at a lot of these things, and we've kind of brushed over a number of items to include pearls, and we touched on that, and you talked about culture pearls, saltwater versus freshwater pearls. There's different color pearls now out there, dark pearls. I don't know what colors you would call them, but I know I've seen them in different places. That's important for folks to look at. So it's not just the pearls, but it's the kind of pearl, the color of the pearl. What are you trying to accomplish with that particular necklace or that bracelet?
Well, it's the pearl market is another one that shows love. It's a very enticing color, and you've got freshwater pearls that are made where it could be 100 pearls made inside that one muscle, and then a saltwater pearl or cultured pearl is one muscle, one pearl, and they have to farm these, and then that's taken up as far as quality and all that goes into it.
Gary Wayne, I want to thank you for coming. I'll give you a few seconds just to do a wrap up. Anything you want to say, and then we're going to have to close out.
JW, I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
Absolutely, always a pleasure.
And you're a good friend, and you've always been very appreciative of what Sessoms Jewelry tries to do. We're not only here for the jewelry business, but Mr. Sessoms also has a hog farm. My son works on that. My daughter, she teaches school at Lakewood. I have 2 grandchildren here, and I'm proud of all of them. My wife is a local young girl who went to school in Clinton, so we're local. We were raised here. We've been in this county for a long time, and we want to stay here for a long time and be part of the team.
Thank you, Gary Wayne. Appreciate you being here. Look forward to seeing you on the radio again next week, as We Should Know airs on Tuesday, 2:30 to 3:30.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of We Should Know with host J.W. Simmons. If you have a question or comment regarding this or any episode, please send your email questions and or comments to jwsimmonsedu@gmail.com. And remember to tune in every Tuesday afternoon beginning at 2:30 for another informative episode of We Should Know.